Welcome to TrailManners, the podcast so dedicated to mountain trails and running that they broadcast out of a 78 Volkswagen bus in the mountains. Who does that? Eric and Joel are your hosts and will bring you the trail life as you may have not heard it before. You hear about everything from gear reviews, nutrition to keep you upright and moving forward, and they'll even bring guests into the bus for conversations that you won't hear anywhere else. It's time for some running adventures on a higher elevation. The old 78 Volkswagen bus is fired up and headed to the mountains. Here are your hosts for TrailManners, proudly representing the 801 with their passion and love for the trails, Eric Manning and Joel Hatch.
Welcome to the TrailManners podcast, episode 115. Today, we're going to be talking with Preston Wood. So if this is your first time listening, then thanks for coming. The TrailManners podcast is produced every week for your enjoyment, and show notes are found at trailmanners.com. Come back often, and please feel free to add the podcast to your favorite RSS feed or iTunes. You can also follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at TrailManners. All links are in the show notes. Now let's get after it. All right, welcome back to the TrailManners podcast, a Tuesday episode. It's only been like 18 months since our last one or something.
That's okay.
Maybe a incubation period of some type of animal. But we're back here at Mount Ogden Park in Ogden, Utah, home of the Ogden Trail Running Festival. And we're outside in a nice overcast day.
This is pretty nice.
It's a really nice day.
This is almost like Bellingham weather, isn't it?
Oh, you brought it up.
I know.
I've been talking about it too much. Joel's really slapped me. But it kind of is, though, for real.
It is. I'll take it. Keeps the snakes away.
It does. We didn't see any this morning on our trip up Malin's because
it was raining.
Chilly. It was raining, too. Because we were out on the Ambassador of Fun birthday run. Steph Gardner had a birthday run up Malin's that we got invited to, so we showed up. So that was nice. And we have jackets on, but our guest does not have a jacket on. He's tougher than we are.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm tougher. I just may be dumber.
No, you need to get used to the heat, though.
Yeah, that's the problem. I should have been like 5 layers deep today so I could get ready for Western.
She'd have like hand warmers.
Could bring a propane heater over here.
I should have had a puffy and like at least 5 layers, sweatpants, hand warmers, foot warmers. That would have been the good move.
Right. Well, I would have given you the 20-foot-long cord for the mic, and I'd been way over here, and I'd been yelling to you.
I should have probably been doing some push-ups and sit-ups and stuff, too.
There's plenty of time to do that in the show.
For
you
sure.
can do bench step-ups while we're doing this.
I need to work on the quads for sure. I need to probably work on the short game. You know, get them a little higher, show off the quads a little bit.
There you go.
Know, that's the way to do it.
Well, TrailManners, Joel doesn't know this because before we get into too much of the show, we're going to have a shorty short run this year. A TrailManners shorty short get-together run on 22nd.
Man.
And you want to hear something funny? I got back from Bellingham. I picked up my daughter. She was shopping with my sister.
Yeah.
I picked her up, and there was a sale on shorts at this store, but they were only women's shorts. But an XXL women's terry cloth short fits me pretty nice. Pretty good.
Are we talking 1980s terry cloth?
Yes.
With the white piping?
Yes.
So hot.
And I might have bought a pair for it.
Does it come with leg warmers, too?
Oh, this is
It
full
comes
on.
with a built-in moose knuckle, too.
That was the extra option.
Yeah,
I didn't buy the options because I didn't have the coupon. I didn't have the Groupon for it. I stayed away from the moose knuckle, but yeah. So we'll have that. But anyway, our guest today, Mr. Preston Wood here out of Ogden, Utah. We've met Preston through the show. He actually came and volunteered at the Nordic Valley 7K in December.
When is that this year?
That is December-ish, like the second weekend, like the 15th or 16th.
I think it is that weekend.
It is.
Yeah.
But I just didn't know the exact date.
That's okay. You're close.
You pressed me, man.
That's all right.
But that was a good event. That was good to get to know you guys. Well-run event. Everybody had a good time.
I think
there was even snow.
There was
snow. Oh, we ordered that up the night before.
Yeah, so Preston came with us on our recon run.
Yep.
Right? And then volunteered at the race. So
he was our sweeper.
He was our sweeper. But the best part about that, and we're going to get into it later in the show, but the best part is I think the day, it was like not like the week before, day before of the recon run, there was a lottery. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it literally was like the week before, I think.
Yeah, and something was posted, and I think we replied back to him, "Oh, you'll get in."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
no, actually, how it went down was you guys were down in St. George for the capstone race.
What it was.
And you guys, like, I think Turtle had something up. You guys were, like, watching it there at the start-finish area. And you guys were like, oh, hey, we're watching the lottery. And I think I posted something silly like, well, by way of the TrailManners gods, hopefully I get in to Western States. And, I was just joking. I really didn't think I had a chance. I think it was like less than a 2% chance to get in.
For a first timer?
Yeah, for a first timer. I have one ticket in the ticker there.
Well, I was going to say, so you've been putting in for 10 years.
Oh, 10 years for sure, or one.
Whatever comes sooner.
One time. But, yeah, and then I found out I got in. I just did Ben Lomond that morning. I didn't pay attention to the lottery at all because I had no chance, right? And I get down and we go to breakfast, me and my wife and kids, and we're just sitting there, and my Facebook starts blowing up, and you guys had said something on Instagram, and we're just dying because I got in. I think I said something like the TrailManners gods are the only true gods. Or something,
you did. I remember reading that.
Something like that. Yeah, because I was pretty fired up. I put in because I figured maybe in 4 or 5 years I'd be running that race.
Right.
And to get in with one ticket, I know I'm pretty lucky. I don't mean to rub it in to anybody.
To everybody out there.
Yeah, to everybody. So that's how I got in. I mean, that day I just wasn't even paying attention. So in the future, just ask the TrailManners guys for the blessing.
That's right.
And they'll hook it up and don't pay attention.
Well, you did 2 things in my book. 1, you did ask the TrailManners gods, but 2, you did your sacrifice run that morning.
I did.
That's important.
I'm a firm believer. If you're in a lottery, whenever that is, you should be running. Like I know people like to watch or hang out in front of their computer screen, but I'm a firm believer is you're out sacrificing the run, right? It's like your get-to run. So, we are outside, so if you hear a little wind blowing, that's just part of the ambiance of this podcast.
Right.
We don't have any special soundproofing or tent or anything. We're literally at a picnic table with no cover. So give us a little background about, because, we haven't known you for long. Give us a little background of yourself, kind of where you're from, and then we'll kind of get into the running section of it, and then we'll just keep diving.
Right on. We'll just keep going. So I've got a pretty interesting background. So I grew up in West Valley City. Went to Hunter High there. I was a big time. Well, thought I was big time. I wasn't really big time. I played football.
Right.
I was an offensive lineman.
Okay.
So at my highest weight, I was about 300 pounds.
Holy cow!
And so
Joel's peeking. He's looking at you.
I'm looking at your frame to see
if
you can support 300.
I got a picture we can post on the podcast.
We need
so I played there at Hunter High. We won a lot of football games. I played with a lot of really good players that made me look better. And after that little career there, I walked on, not scholarship, just walked on at Southern Utah University, played offensive line down there for 1 year, and then did a little something that a lot of people around here do. I went on a church mission for a couple years to Argentina, where I fell in love with the great game of soccer, as you guys well know. And while I was in Argentina, I had this buddy of mine, this companion that I lived with, that started talking about how his dad did these running events where he would run 100 miles.
Right.
His dad is a 2 or 3 time Wasatch 100 finisher.
Awesome.
And so that's kind of was my first introduction.
Right.
And, I lost quite a bit of weight on my mission. I came back at a svelte 240.
Nice.
Where'd you go? Argentina?
Argentina, okay. Yeah, to Buenos Aires there. So, so I came back a little light, and while I was gone, the whole coaching staff at Southern Utah got fired. So I didn't go back there. I decided I was going to try to walk on at the University of Utah.
Just a little bit smaller program.
Yeah, smaller program. Yeah. Well, I figured if I was going to do it, I might as well go big.
Go big, right?
Yeah, go big or go home. And so I was going to walk on at the University of Utah, so I got my weight back up to 300 pounds.
Wow.
And then, this is like I said, working out every day, 300 pounds. But it was a lot of work. And then after I started getting my weight back up, I met my wife, and that's when I realized that it probably wasn't a good idea to be a walk-on football player and try to be a husband. So you don't make any money, you can't have a job, you got to be all the time football. So I stopped playing football, and we got married, and I stayed huge. Stopped working out as much, was 300 pounds, and we'd been married for about 6 months, and we were sitting watching The Biggest Loser on TV. And I was like, man, I'm as heavy as some of those people. I look a lot better. But I'm as much handsomer. Actually had worked out recently, not as much as I had been to get that heavy, and then I was like, I've got to do something about this.
Right.
And so I started running to lose the weight. So started off with a 5K with my wife, and I'll never forget the first run we went on. We did like a 2-mile jog around the block.
Did you hit anybody?
And she just hammered me. My wife did. Just like killed me. I couldn't go. And, just kind of worked at it from there. Kind of a long, slow progress. That was about 7 years ago.
Wow.
So, and it's been a battle up and down with weight
right.
ever since then. But, right now I'm in a pretty good spot since I found trail running. So I ran several marathons, half marathons, road stuff, and would just always constant gain a little weight, back up to, so like right now I'm the lightest I've ever been, like 190, right?
Okay.
Lightest I've ever been.
That's
for
awesome.
Me. And, I'll get down to 200 and then I'll get up to 230 again and then down to 200. So that was with road running, but since I started hitting the trails, it's a little bit easier to be consistent because I enjoy it a lot more.
Right.
I dreaded the long run when I was road running.
Okay.
Hated it. And now I really love being out. 4 or 5 hours in the mountains is a lot better than an hour and a half on the road, I think. I don't know.
So what are your like close friends and family that knew you at 300 pounds, playing football to where you're at now? I mean, what's kind of their whole, I don't know, what do they say? I mean, what's their look at it?
So my parents have, it's kind of funny. When I get to about 215, my mom thinks I'm too skinny, so she's like, hey, you're getting a little too skinny there. And, like this last big push, I've lost since the Bear 100 that was my Western qualifier, I've lost 35 pounds since then.
Right.
So I ran the Bear at like 225, and she's just like, well, how skinny do you think you need to be? You don't need to be that skinny, So that's that side of things. But most people are just really, and my mom's supportive.
Right.
She's supportive of it, but she just likes to give me a hard time.
Right.
But people that from high school, not many of them, I think, realize how skinny I've gotten.
Right.
They just kind of, they know that I do stuff in the mountains. I'm not a big social media guy. Like I post, vistas and stuff on social media, but don't really talk much about what I do and that I like to run and. They think I'm hiking most of the time, I think. But, which obviously we do plenty of hiking.
We do.
So they probably look at you and go, man, you look different. Oh, you grew a beard.
The people, exactly. The people who I get the weirdest responses from are the people that have only known me since I've been, 230 or less.
Okay.
When they see that picture of, I'm in sales. And so when I get talking about football, people are like, you just talk about yourself in sales. It's kind of annoying, I'm sure, to people that have to listen to me all day. But, building relationships. And when they hear that I played offensive line, they're like, well, like Joel was sizing me up earlier.
Yeah,
right?
I was.
You didn't play offensive line. There's no way.
Right.
And then I have this picture that I'll show you guys, and they just are like, well, that's not you. That's the initial reaction. But they know it's me. I mean, it has my name right above the picture. It's like the team picture, But, yeah, so that's the biggest reaction I get. It's been kind of a slow enough progression, I think, from 300 to where I am now that people kind of got used to it.
People see it every day or more often.
Where people that see me from now and, 8 years ago, 9 years ago, that's the big shock.
Yeah.
Like, oh, my gosh, you were huge.
Yeah. Like the running backs who would follow you through the hole. They'll be like,
yeah, well,
come on, man.
That's a funny thing. Like, every quarterback I played with in high school is now heavier than me.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's
usually how it works.
It is usually how it works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, that's interesting because we've had other people on the show kind of in the same, like, that we hadn't known at that time, right? Brad Sween was one of them. He was telling us he was like 100 pounds heavier or something, and we were looking at him the same way.
Right.
Melissa Solomon, same thing. We're like, because we didn't know him then.
Yeah.
And then they did the same thing, kind of showed us some photos. Larry Adams, he hasn't been on the show, but he lost like 200 and 300. I mean, he was up to 400, I think, or something like that.
I think he was maybe even close to 5.
Yeah, and he was showing. So it's just interesting because, like you said, we don't know any better.
Yeah.
Right. I look at you and I'm like, same thing. It's like, you didn't pay. There's a reason why you didn't get a scholarship for offensive line.
Sorry, buddy. There's not a 190-pound offensive lineman.
I haven't seen one, not even arena football.
Yeah. They're usually a little heavier.
But that's really cool to hear your story, and also, kind of that fluctuation part, especially since you jumped over to trail, and then kind of that same thing of your wanting to be on the trails. Right?
Yeah.
So that makes a big difference. I think when you're consistent, it just kind of naturally happens, right? You just burn and burn and burn. So you have, like you mentioned, you did do the bear last year. You do have, from what we could see, again, this could be like maybe had some alter ego when you were there, but you started you did Squaw Peak last year.
Yeah.
So a year ago, because Squaw Peak, we're recording this on a Friday. Today's June 1st.
Yeah.
So June 2nd is Squaw Peak. You did that last year in 12:48.
Yep.
And then you did the bear.
Wait, back up. What was your first ultra race?
So I'll back up a little bit more to my transition from roads to ultra, and then we'll get into that. So I work for this company, Zimmer Biomet, and one day I was talking with one of our now she's in HR, but I was talking, she did a lot of our expiring inventory back then, and I was just talking with her that one day, and she found out that I ran, and she's like, oh, well, my husband runs a little bit. And I was like, oh, okay. You know, I was like, at that time I was really hyper-focused on qualifying for Boston.
Okay.
Right.
So, like, I was, pounding it on the road, just getting injured all the time. Like, it was the worst. But I like the grind. That's one thing that transfers is the grind. But so she's like, yeah, you ought to meet my husband one time. I didn't think anything of it. Lots of people say, oh, I know so-and-so that runs a lot. And so then one day my boss sends me to go get fireworks, and it's from this gal's husband. He's a fireworks salesman. And so
I'm liking this road we're headed down.
So I meet him, and him and his brother come out, and they both have these huge beards, and they just they don't look much like what I think runners look like. I'm used to like marathon.
They look like fireworks salesmen.
Right. They look like fireworks salesmen for sure. And they come out, and I was like, so your wife tells me you run. And they're like, yeah, we kind of run. And I was like, well, what do you guys do? And they're like, oh, we like to run on the trails. And I was like, oh, cool. And in my mind, like, I look back at it, and I've talked about it with them since, but I had to have come across as the biggest D-bag of all time. Because I was like, oh, so, like, how, like, I asked them, like, so you guys ever, like, run a marathon? Like, that's the only thing that I had to measure with. And they're like, no, not, like, we've run, like, some trail marathons.
Right.
And I was like, oh, like, how fast? And he's like, oh, like, I think I ran, like, the last marathon I did in 4:20 or something.
Which is fast,
and
right?
it was like Bosho or something. He'd run like 4:20 or something. And I was just like, oh, okay, well, that, in my mind, I'm like, oh, that's pretty slow.
Yeah.
4:20, oh, my gosh, like. And so I had to have been the biggest D-bag. But then as I got to know this guy again, I'm going to name drop him because he really didn't want me to. His name's Ian Ferris.
Okay.
So
I've heard the name.
Ian's pretty low-key kind of guy. And his brother Colin, I'll name drop those two because they really don't want me to name drop them.
Nice.
But so as I've gotten to know them, they're pretty serious about it, pretty dedicated, good runners, and they kind of got me into it on a lower key kind of side. And so that's how I signed up for Squaw Peak, because I told Ian that I wanted to do the Bear 100.
Right.
And he's like, okay, well, why don't you run Squaw Peak then? Because he does Squaw Peak every year.
Yeah. Right.
So Squaw was my first real, like, trail ultra, but I did Pony Express. I don't know if that's on there. Pony Express was my first 50-mile.
Did you?
And that was miserable. That was the hardest race I've ever done mentally and emotionally.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And when was that? Was that 2016?
That would have been, 2016.
Okay.
So fall of
October.
2016, October.
Yeah.
Yep. So that was my first, and then Squaw Peak. So anyway, sorry, I'm pretty long-winded here, guys.
That's all right. This is what these podcasts are for.
Yeah.
It helps when me and Jill don't have to talk.
Heck yeah.
So Squaw Peak, what did you think of that? Because that's like one of the original Utah ultras.
Yeah.
And it's like, for Utah runners, that's kind of like
the rite of passage.
The rite of passage.
No, for sure.
So how did you feel after that one? Since it was your first, quote, I'm going to call it a trail, your first real trail ultra.
Real trail ultra. I guess the Pony Express Trail, but it's a dirt road.
Yeah.
Right? Davey can argue with me if you want. But anyways, so I went into it with a goal of going under 12 hours.
Okay.
I knew that it was going to be pretty hard. I was actually looking at pictures today from the race last year, and I was about 235 racing Squaw Peak last year. I had gotten pretty heavy. We had a kid in the fall, and that winter some things had happened where I turned to food like I do often.
Hey, you don't need to explain that to us. No explanation.
I started eating my feelings a little bit.
Hey, we walked up and saw a food truck we're excited about after the show.
Exactly. We're going to crush that.
To go hit that after. But I I went into it with the mindset of I want to be under 12 hours, and it's a pretty rugged course. I got some pretty good advice to take it easy the first half. There's a big climb at the start, and then it's kind of fire roads down into Hobble Creek Canyon, and then you run on the pavement for a little bit, and then you eventually connect on some trails. And I think it's like 14 miles of climbing from like steady climb from Hobble Creek to the top of Windy Pass. And the day before the race, Bozung, the race director, had said in the meeting, I think there's like 100 yards of snow on the course. And I was like, 100 yards, that's not going to be a big deal. And I was new to trail running. I just moved to the Ogden area last February and started running these trails, and I'd never run in snow ever. Wow. And so I get to the top of Windy Pass, and we get down to the aid station, and I get some water there, and I was on track for my goal. And I looked down, and I was like, so is it that way to the aid station people? And it looks like a ski resort, like it's like I thought there was like 100 yards of snow. There's like I can't see dry anything. And so I no joke had a 40-minute mile from the aid station that first mile down because I didn't know what to do in the snow.
Gotcha.
I was just nervous I was going to hit a tree or I was going to slide off the mountain. Like there's probably a lot of fatigue factors there too.
Right.
And so I ended up, coming in 45 minutes after my goal, I think. So
snow kind of
threw me for a loop, and I think I was just a little mentally weak.
That was your first one, too.
Yeah, it was.
And Squaw, if you haven't done it, that's just a tough course. It is
hard.
For no matter who you are, because there's, like you said, there's sections of road that really take the wind out of you.
Yep.
Windy Pass is a monster. The downhill off Windy is not a joke.
No,
and usually there's down trees and
a lot of people argue that it's easier in the snow. So I'll find out tomorrow if that's the case.
Oh yeah, because you're running tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm running tomorrow.
What's the course looking like right now?
There is zero snow. Is what everybody
is that like
says.
a legit zero
That's
snow?
legit. People have run that back half and said there's no snow.
And the weather's supposed to be cooler.
Yeah, it's supposed to only be like I think 75 or 80 is a high in the valleys tomorrow.
So you're going,
that's the other thing. Last year it was like 90 degrees.
Yeah, it was hot.
So you're going under 11 hours tomorrow?
I think so for sure. I have a little
10:30.
Yeah, we're going to be pretty aggressive tomorrow, but try not to blow up too bad.
Yeah.
So
no, go for it.
Yeah, go for it.
Just
man.
go for it.
Spin those tires.
It's going to be fun.
Just load up on the Smurf nuts and go for it.
That's Joe's secret weapon.
No, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to run fast tomorrow. Hopefully.
That's awesome. We've been running so strong.
Yeah, you have.
We've only seen you a couple times on the trail.
Barely.
It's like a streak.
Come on,
it's like a streak. It's like zing. I'm pretty sure that was Preston.
No, that was the Dozer.
That was it. We saw Dozer yesterday.
We saw him last week too.
Still got the same. I ain't moving. I hope you guys get over.
I know.
Yeah.
We saw No Look yesterday too.
Yeah.
Thank God there was a little bit of room. No Look was not moving, and he was going fast.
Not gonna move.
He didn't.
No.
He was by us and we just started giggling. It wasn't even he didn't look up, didn't say hi. He's like zing.
He's like doing 5-minute pace.
Yeah. We were on the wrong course yesterday.
Yeah.
That was the speed course.
That was the speed course.
Okay, so we did Squaw Peak, and then like you said, you did the Bear. That was your first 100.
Wait, nothing between Squaw Peak and the Bear?
I actually did the Skyline 55K.
Nice.
Yeah,
that's a good course.
And I mean, it's our backyard. It's a good course. I enjoyed that. I ran pretty well there. Better than I probably should have. It's a good hot race too. You know that for people going into Wasatch and Bear.
Yep.
It's because it was really hot. People were dying.
Yeah.
There was much carnage going around.
Nice.
And you liked that one though.
I did. I mean, but I run that stuff all the time.
Yeah, it's kind of the home trail.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So you went into the Bear, and you did 31:51 for your first 100, which at the Bear as well. So, I mean, that's quite the progression. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, you picked some solid races, but were you pleased with your time at the Bear? Were you looking for sub-30?
I was pleased because I wanted to finish.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that was the main goal.
Yeah.
I thought if I had a good day, I could go maybe under 28, but I really wanted under 30, and that didn't happen, but I was still very happy to finish. Because it's a tough course. And, it's kind of funny. I was on pace until Beaver Mountain there at mile 76 where you go inside. Mm-hmm. And I just had a mental come apart. I was physically totally okay. And I just sat there and felt really sorry for myself for about 90 minutes.
Yeah. Wow.
And my wife finally was like, hey, so you have plenty of time, right? And I was like, well, yeah, I'm going to finish. But I walked it in from there.
Okay.
So except for somebody picked me up. I'm trying to remember his name. But he picked me up there about 8 miles from the finish and kind of kept me going.
And that was so slick downhill last year.
It was,
Ranger did.
yeah. For those of us in that 30-plus hour range, it started raining, and there was lots of slipping and sliding and all sorts of fun. It was a party.
I was at the finish line, and you could distinctly see the people that beat the rain and the ones that didn't. The people that beat the rain looked good. Everybody else had mud slicks, like all over their legs, their shirt. They were just falling down that hill.
Yeah, it was a total slip and slide down that last descent.
And then that was the qualifier for Western States. So Western States, why? Just because it's Western States?
Yeah. I mean, I wanted to run. I'd like to run that and Hard Rock.
Okay.
You know, so I put in for both, just knowing that you have to accumulate those points to get in. And I mean, my plan this year was to go back to the Bear and exact some revenge on it.
Yep.
And instead, I got into Western, and I'm still going to do the Bear at the end of the summer. But, you know, I got into Western, and that kind of kept me on my toes all winter. You know, when you have an early season race, it kind of lights a fire under your ass, and you have to be ready to go.
And one that you don't know if you'll ever get into it. It's like almost like a one-shot thing, right?
No,
it's
for
like,
sure.
It's not one of those things where, you know, I'll get used to the course this year, and it's like, this is probably my only shot. Realistically, it's how you have to think going in.
No, for sure, and that's how I've trained. You know, I've been training like this is my only chance to get out there, and I better put a good effort forward because I might never get back.
So how is your training's going well, like you mentioned? Are you talking to people that have done Western, or are you talking to people like Ian and Colin and people that are been in the sport longer? I mean, how are you getting some of the prep ready for Western? Are you just going in based off what you've already done? Yeah,
so I've been just kind of talking to as many people as I can, people that have run it. The only person that I really know that's run the course is Shane Martin here locally. And so I've talked with Shane a couple times about it. But as far as mileage and everything goes, you know, as you guys know, it's kind of an individual thing, right? Yep. And training, philosophy. And so last year I think I had like one 70-mile week all year and like a couple 60-mile weeks. And this year I wanted to get and have a pretty strong block of 70-mile weeks. That was just kind of something I had if my body felt okay.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of, you know, 70 miles with close to 15,000 a vert has kind of been my wheelhouse as far as what I feel good about doing and where I feel like I'm getting a lot of positive results from.
Yeah. That's a jet going over. We're still good.
We got flyovers here.
He's just checking us out. He's going, there's
making sure we're not causing any problems.
They're zinging. So with your training, is there anything besides your mileage, are you focusing on anything else?
So in the winter when it was, you know, snowy and cold, I was trying to do some pretty good tempo workouts once a week on the treadmill or on the parkway. I'd try to do, you know, like an 8-mile tempo run with a warm-up, so I'd try to, you know, creep down to like a 7:20-ish pace for that, you know, 8 miles and see how it went. And I did some, you know, what for me is considered speed work leading up to it, and I think that's really helped me this spring. Is I've raced twice this spring, so I did Bow Show. And then I did your guys' race, the best race Ogden had to offer this spring.
That's the Gib Wallace race. That's
very well run.
It's a very challenging, true 10-mile trail course.
Very challenging.
Right? It is. You came in 6th, right?
Yeah,
see,
I did.
I remember that. That's not even on my notepad.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Came in 6th place.
That was a strong
field. If you run a little bit faster, you could have been on the podium.
I was trying. I was chasing Shane Martin the whole day. You know, he beat me at Bow Show by about 90 seconds, I think.
Right.
And he beat me here by about that much, too. Right. But he's just really fast downhill.
He just knows what he's doing.
Yeah,
he knows where you're at.
Yeah.
He's still
knew exactly where I was.
Oh, he's at 70 seconds. I'll speed up.
Yeah, but as far as who I've talked to, I talked to Shane. I've talked a lot with Ben Wallace about just kind of what he did going into Bear last year. He's more of a low mileage kind of guy. So just kind of seeing that everybody does something different, you know. It's just about finding your comfort zone, finding what works for you.
Right.
And I think I found what works for me.
Jim Skaggs also ran Western. That's kind of local.
Yeah.
But that's a good source to pull from, though. Shane Martin, I mean, he's been around, and he's done it all. Hard rocks and all these things, and he's so under the radar that he's done more than he probably knows he's already done. Right? He's probably got some FKT stuffed in his pocket.
He probably does.
That he doesn't talk about.
Yeah, he's quick.
So what's your mindset going into the race? I mean, is there things that, like right now, obviously it's Western States, obviously it's a 100-miler, but are there things in your head that you're, I don't say questioning, but you're nervous about, whether it's the heat, whether it's so much downhill, whether it's just the circus of the race, that absolutely affects some people, just how big and popular and kind of chaotic it is? Is there anything like that going through your head?
Yeah, pretty much all of the above.
Okay.
I plan, not to the extent that some people do, but I like to have an idea going into the race of what I'm going to do. And looking at Western, it's daunting because of the heat. And I think a lot of it in this sport is so mental.
Yeah.
Our ability to perform and to finish a race strong, you have to be in the right place mentally. And so, like, with the heat stuff, I just say to myself, well, when you were 300 pounds, you did 2-a-days in 90-degree weather,
right?
Or 100-degree weather, so why can't you do it right now?
Right.
And just kind of trying to get my mind right. I know it's going to be the real deal out there. I have no qualms about that. It's going to be the real deal. It's going to be hot. But I think just being ready to deal with it and just know that I've got to deal with it is just part of the race.
Yeah.
That's why it's a tough race. That's why people DNF it all the time. And then as far as, like, the downhill goes, that's what killed me at the Bear.
Yeah.
I ran out of downhill legs, and so I've really worked on really hammering downhills. And I think, as you get that much vert, you got to go down.
Yeah, you got to go back down.
So that's been good, and I think just the increased mileage will help there. The circus I'm excited about, though.
Yeah, right.
I think that's what's cool about the race. Like, explaining to my parents, like, Western States is like the Boston Marathon of ultra running,
right?
And showing them the start line and how big of a zoo it is with all the cameras and all the media.
Right.
I'm excited for that part, and then it's just a regular 100-miler after that, all right? I mean,
pretty much.
It's
at the end of the day, it's 100 miles, right? Everybody's doing it. Everybody's doing the same conditions.
Yep.
That's the one thing, because I went down to pace Jim Skaggs, and that was the one thing I took away. It wasn't the heat, and I didn't run it. I didn't pace, but it was not hot then. But the check-in, all that stuff was crazy.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, they're taking blood pressure, they're weighing you, they're putting stuff on you. They have this huge store to make sure you spend as much money as possible on stuff.
Yeah.
And there's cameras everywhere, and there's, like, people following people around with video cameras, and you're like, I don't even know who that person is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a nut. And then you get on that climb, and there's people always at the top of the first climb. So it's and then that's when everybody changes out of their special clothes and gets back into their running gear to get it on, right?
For sure. And I'm lucky I've got a pretty good crew going out, so hopefully they keep me so I don't do something stupid, especially early on, because that's the key, right? Everybody says the key at Western is to just take it easy. I've listened to the podcast with Canis that you guys did before Western or after. I can't remember if it was before or after.
It was after.
But he was talking about getting to Forest Hill with lakes.
Right.
And, he was like 2 hours behind 24-hour pace or something and just chipped away at it. And so I've got my A1 big-time pacer, Heather Carter, that I run with a lot around here. She's going out. She'll keep me.
Fast.
Yeah, she's fast. Winner of the Gib Wallace 10-miler on the women's side.
Legit winner, too.
Yeah. It was a pretty tough race, pretty talented women's field.
Yeah,
it was.
3 former Division I athletes there, 1, 2, 3, I think. So they're...
hey, that's what we do. We bring it in.
Bring it in, for
we
sure.
bring the heavy hitters.
That's right. Killian had a broken leg, or I think he was coming. That's the
sure.
rumor I heard on Insta-Tweeter.
There was a lot of Solomon stuff around.
Yeah, when he went down the broken leg, I'm like, we'll refund your
Ricky
money.
Gates was here.
He was. He was on the course.
He did. Took some video. Yeah, we bring it.
It was big time. No, so with Heather out there, she'll keep me grounded. She's seen me in a lot of bad places mentally. So
where's she taking you on the course?
She'll take me 60 to the end.
Okay,
So Forest Hill, 62.
Right.
Yeah. So that's the plan.
That last 40.
Yeah.
Wow.
Getting her ready for Wasatch.
Gotcha.
She'll be ready.
Yeah.
She'll be a heavy hitter for Wasatch.
Yeah, I think so. Don't tell her that,
She'll listen.
I haven't looked at the entry list.
It's pretty deep field up for the women.
Is it?
Yeah. So there's
Still,
a lot of
good
talented women from the state
though.
running that.
Huh.
Yeah. It's good that she's running, though.
Yeah.
So you got your crew, you got your pace. It sounds like you got most everything lined up.
Yeah.
Right? So as far as the logistical part, you're kind of dialed, so it's just more focusing on getting your body ready.
Yeah, exactly.
And how's the body been with all this increased mileage, the change, between tempo, speed, more vert? Has the body held up okay?
Yeah, it's held up really well, actually. That's been the best part, and that's what I love about the trails versus road, right? Like, uphill I don't think really ever hurts you. you're going
it hurts.
less impact. It hurts.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Joel's eyes got glassy.
It doesn't hurt your joints though, right? Like you don't take that huge pounding, and you can control the downhill if your body's not feeling it that day. It's okay to go slow.
Yeah,
and that's I think the biggest thing I've taken away from this training is it's okay to go slow sometimes, right? It's okay to just be out there on your feet.
That's what I say like all the time.
Yeah,
like it's okay to go slow. And
it is okay.
And that's all I do. Because I remind myself that.
Yeah, and so my body's held up good. I put a pretty steady block in, and I feel good about it. At this point, Squaw Peak's kind of my last long effort. Right. I debated back and forth, had some different points of view on whether or not I should do both, and my wife one day, she's like, well, what are you going to do that weekend if you don't race?
Right.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I'll probably run like 30 miles or something. And she's like, yeah, unsupported. I'm going to have to like pick you up somewhere. And I'm going to have to like, and she's just like, you're going to have to drop water. You're going to have to do all this stuff. Why don't you just run the race with your friends? And that's what I'm going to do.
Right on.
Well, I think it still gives you time.
It does.
To recover and, take care of yourself after that.
The way that they fall on the weekends. I mean, they're basically bookending it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I had a big effort earlier this year. I did rim to rim to rim. And that next Saturday I ran 15 miles fine. Okay. And so I'm in better shape now than I was then.
Right.
So I hope.
Well, last weekend I saw some photos. You're in the UNs.
Yeah.
Right?
We did a little Kings Peak adventure. Actually, my mission buddy that first introduced me to the idea of ultra running, he came out when he got married. A couple of his brothers weren't around, and so it was kind of a late bachelor party.
So you went running.
So we
Kings
went
Peak?
and we hiked it. Yeah, we kind of hiked it pretty quick. We hiked into Dollar Lake the first day, camped, and then did Kings Peak, and then all the way out the next day.
Awesome.
So it was a good adventure, good altitude training, good, nice long. We were on our feet like 14 hours
there you go.
that day because not everybody was coming from sea level almost.
Yeah.
So they had a good time at 13,000 feet. It was a party.
Got my sea legs.
0 to 4,000 feet. You're hurting still, huh?
I was in Bellingham last weekend, and me and Jill ran. That was my first run since I've been back trying to catch up. We went running, I guess yesterday it was. We just ran just on the shoreline, and I'm like, I think I only have one functioning lung right now. I still have salt in my lungs.
Old lunger here, one lung.
Oh, but so, well, I mean, that's, your training's been awesome, though. Like I said, we've seen you run on the trails. We've seen you on Strava. UNs, Squaw Peak coming up. So what are you going to do after Squaw?
That's the big question, right? What can I really gain in those 3 weeks? Not much. I mean, the hay's pretty much in the barn at this point.
Right.
I'm going to recover that this next week and see, get out for a couple easy jogs probably, and then do a decent week that next week, but nothing crazy.
Right.
And then just coast it right in.
So do you have any other tools that you use? Do you do any type of massage therapy? Do you do stuff at home with stuff? Do you do recovery stuff? I mean, what's your recovery like for stuff like that?
Yeah, so I do massage, probably not as much as I should.
Right.
I just don't feel like spending that much money sometimes. But I do about one a month.
Okay.
And then I roll my hamstrings and calves out and quads out as much as I feel like I need to, which is 2 or 3 times a week.
Right.
And that's about it for that sort of stuff. Recovery-wise, I'm not the best sleeper. That's probably where I have my biggest deficiency. So I like to stay up late. So that's probably where I should get better. But I recover pretty good. I'm young. I mean, I'm 30 years old.
Holy cow.
I say young. I mean, relatively young.
That's young. That's really young.
I thought
30.
he was like mid-30s.
Yeah, I just turned 30. 30 miles for my 30th birthday.
Nice.
I didn't even think of age.
The last time I'm going to do that. I was talking about that with...
I'm sad again.
I'm sad again. Where's that food truck?
I know. My birthday was this morning. She turned like 35.
Yeah, I was talking about that with Steph the other day. We did a Solomon Club group run or whatever, and I was like, I think 30 is the last time I'll run my age in miles. I think I'm going to turn it into kilometers.
Oh, that's good.
5 kilometers.
Yeah.
So 17, 18 miles next year.
Yeah,
that's good.
That's much better.
When you get mine and Jill's age, you go minutes.
Sure. Good point. Yes.
It's like, I'm going to go out for X amount of minutes for my birthday.
That's a good.
We'll just leave it at that.
That's a better plan.
So can we put you on the spot with Western?
Yeah.
What's your goal?
So I'm not going to lie. I'm focused on sub 24.
Oh boy.
Ooh, I love it.
Yeah.
Because I figure I'm only going to get out there once.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, I mean, that's my mindset. Who knows? Maybe I'll get lucky and get in, you know,
Finish
next
top
year.
10, you will.
No, yeah. Yeah, there's no way. This is the most stacked field of all time.
It really is.
And even like the not top guys are super fast.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of fast people heading out.
Yep.
And so
Well, all you got to do is at an aid station, throw some football pads and a helmet in your drop
start
bag.
taking people out just at the start. Just at the start line. I just need to take Walmsley out.
Yeah.
Just take him out.
Or just move
Fight
a
all the
sign.
Cowboys
Just move
all
a
at
sign,
once.
like one of the arrows, just rotate it.
Yeah.
Rotate it the wrong direction.
Get everybody lost.
Yeah.
That's what it would take. It'd take about the top 80 people to get lost, probably, for me to
finish top 10.
Top 10.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
If you guys come out, you could help me out, hook it up.
Well, I think we're busy that weekend.
We are busy. That
Yeah.
weekend.
What is that? The
We're
23rd?
running is it 23rd or the following weekend?
Nope, it's the 23rd.
We're not doing anything the 23rd.
I've got to be doing something. I'll be chasing food trucks.
We're tapering.
You guys
for
just
Twisted Fork.
well,
We got our food truck
you
ready.
got your cover ready. That's
Yeah.
what you're doing.
Yeah.
You're not going to be at Western.
Nope, not at all.
Pointing the wrong direction.
Not at all.
No
Won't
way.
be there. A couple middle-aged dudes.
Nope.
Yeah, most people have the little ambulance chaser radio, police radar. It's police scanner. I've got a food truck scanner.
That's a good
So
thing.
I'm like, oh, yeah, I know where I'm at today. So
No,
that's awesome. Sub 24.
Yeah, I figure I've got to go for it, but I'll be happy with the finish for sure.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I mean, I want to run smart, and if running smart means that I run, 29 hours, that's what it takes. But I think I put in the work to get it done. I don't mean. Hopefully, people aren't like, man, this guy's arrogant.
No, I love it because everything you said on all these things, like I feel like I can do this. Like tomorrow at Squaw, you want to go sub 11.
Right.
It's like you put in the work, and I think that's the best thing. And we talk about it on the show a lot. There's this line where it's confidence and arrogance. Right.
Yeah.
And it's more, I think, than ever because of social media. We lean more towards arrogance.
Yeah.
Right. When you see stuff like that, but as a runner, as an athlete, as a human being, when you do put that kind of work in, some people sandbag a lot more than others. They'll put the work in and go, I just want to go have fun.
Yeah. Next thing you know,
which is true.
Top 10.
Yeah. But I like how you're just to the fact. So you know what? I put the work in. This is what I'm capable of. I think I can do it if everything goes right. I mean, some people won't put it on the line because they don't want people to repercussions either.
Well, I'm not afraid to fail either.
Yeah.
I've failed plenty of times at plenty of things.
It's a learning experience.
Yeah, you don't get better by taking it easy.
Yeah.
Right, and that's the stupid jock football mentality probably in me still, where it's like, gotta lift weights, and gotta get stronger, and that's the same kind of mentality you gotta have. I think you gotta not be afraid.
Yeah.
If you're afraid, you're never gonna push yourself to that limit, which is what we're all trying to do here.
Well, that's pretty much
why
what all
we
these
do it.
big runs are, is just seeing what you're capable of. And I like your mentality, like even tomorrow, just going for it.
Yeah.
It's like, we'll go for it. And I like that. I like when we have people on the show that do that.
Yeah.
'Cause I'd like to do that someday. I should usually start off that way. First mile or two, I'm like, this is the day. This is the day.
Well, I'll know pretty quick if you start off going pretty hard.
And then it's the old saying, well, I'm not going to finish first. I'm going to slow down now.
Yeah.
That guy's going to beat me, so I better walk it in from here.
Yeah.
48 miles to walk it in. Then after Western States, take some time off.
Yeah.
Enjoy it.
Yeah, I'm not gonna take too much time off. Probably a week or so, but when I say time off, I won't put any like serious training in for a couple weeks. Probably I'll get out and jog around and shuffle a little bit, but then we'll just kind of ease back into it, and I really want to have a good bear this year.
Yeah,
a real good bear. So
sub 24.
I'd hope so.
Yeah, depends on the weather.
Yeah, depends on the weather. We'll find out a lot here in 3 weeks about what's realistic or not. I've only raced the distance once, and it was hard.
Yeah.
So we'll, and so it'll be a wake-up call. I'll find out what's going on with my fitness and what I've got to do. Hopefully, lose 10 more pounds by bear and run a race in there somewhere. I don't know what race I'll run.
Speed goat would be a good one for you.
Yeah, I don't. That
sounds
sounds like
a bit
suffer
close
fest.
to.
He's fine.
Yeah,
he's fine.
What about putts? What are you doing that weekend?
What weekend is that?
That's almost all sold out too.
I think the marathon's still open though.
Is it?
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna see what I can. I'm gonna go out hard.
Sounds pretty rugged out there though.
So is the bear.
Yeah, the bear is, but the bear has aid stations next to the road.
That's true.
Nuts, doesn't it? Right?
No,
it's
it
all like
doesn't.
horseback packed sort of stuff.
It sounds like you're afraid. What's going on?
I'm scared. Yeah.
That one scares me.
No, I'm definitely going to run. I'm definitely going to run another race, though. I don't know if I'll run Skyline again or something else, but Speed Goat would be an option. That's a lot of climbing in a 50K.
Yeah, it is. Me and Joel have been there before.
What is it, 11,000 feet?
Something.
It depends on
like
the year.
Yeah, it really does.
It depends on how gracious he feels. If he's in a bad mood, he's like, "Nah, we're going to reroute it. We got to gain a couple more thousand feet.
A couple thousand more.
Yeah.
So, are you going to return the pacing duty for Heather?
Yeah, I am actually.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm pacing her from Brighton to the end, I believe.
Yeah. Okay. That's what now? It's 30.
30ish. Yeah.
30ish.
Yeah.
The new course always confuses
Unless
me.
Phil Lowry gets the course changed again, like he proposed. Did you guys see that proposal?
I did.
It looked pretty solid. The new one that he was proposing.
Better than what it is now.
Yeah. A lot of people don't like the end.
Fix the finish?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I need to go back and look at his proposal.
It's a good proposal. It really is. But that finish.
Is he going to go through Park City Run Company?
Yeah.
That's what his plan was. Yeah. So I think I'm mentioning that because I'd love to run that race if they changed it to that.
Yeah,
I think a lot of people would.
I'd go back.
On the horse.
Yeah, so I'm just trying to drum up some support here, rally the troops. Let's make Wasatch great again.
That's right.
Wait a minute, is the finish going to be down in American Fork area?
Yeah, that's kind of what the plan was, I think.
That's legit.
Yeah. It's a little easier for people too, you know.
Yeah.
And that mountain and going back and forth.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So that would be really cool. So we want to get you on after Western for sure. Because we want to hear the play-by-play, especially see the shiny buckle. See you standing up, on the podium by the people holding the cougar statues.
He'll be in the background.
I'll sneak up. I'll stalk some of those guys. I don't know who I'll stalk though. There's too many guys to stalk out there. Right? There's too many big-time guys out running. Maybe I'll just try to stalk all the Utah guys.
Is there a lot going on?
I think Mark Hammond's running, Jeff Browning,
that's right.
Meltzer's trying to break the 50 and over record or whatever.
Guys right there.
He reached out to me. He's looking for a pacer, but I don't know. I'll be busy that weekend.
Yeah, you will be.
I didn't even know that was a big deal, the whole pacer thing. We were talking.
Funny.
Me and my buddies were talking about it like I'd never even thought twice because I'm more like you, Eric, where it's like I want my friends to be there with me. Like Heather has to deal with me during the middle of the week, like looking like I'm dead.
Right.
She might as well come out to Western States and enjoy it.
Yeah. Enjoy the training.
Yeah. Right. So it's like running with your friends, I think, is why I do it.
Yeah. And that's one of my mindsets. I mean, we just talked about it on our Thursday podcast last week on Single Track, and that was one of my things I didn't bring up is I enjoy being there with my friends.
Yeah.
It's funner. And there will be a time I do a no pace, no crew, absolutely, because I definitely want to try that out. But I've enjoyed, even on the pacing side, I've enjoyed it. And I'm like, wow, this is kind of cool. But on the running side, kind of the same thing. So, yeah, there'll be a lot of fast, not just Utah. I mean, Joel and I have talked for a while about a woman finishing top 10.
Yeah. It's going to be hard this year just with the field, but where it could happen, I think when the year that I don't remember her name. I don't mean to disrespect, but when she finished third, the year that guy collapsed on the track, right?
Oh,
it was that year. She finished third, and it was because a lot of the guys just didn't run smart, and she outlasted them because women are tougher.
Yeah, right.
I mean, I think there's a lot of data that backs that up, and I think something like that could happen this year. With as many fast guys as there are.
Yeah.
I mean, just like Ryan Sands won last year because he was smart.
Right.
Yeah.
And you look at that, and so maybe Courtney DeWalter runs a great race and sneaks into that top 10 because those other guys are just dumb. And she's tough.
Each other up.
Oh, there's a lot of smart, tough women in the field.
Right. And they'll run a smarter race. They'll run a smarter race.
Guys are tough.
Guys are tough for sure. I mean, that's the whole thing. Is it's tough, but yeah, Joel said sometimes. I mean, we've all seen it. We've all heard about it. But some of those guys just go out so stinking hard.
Yeah, they do.
And it doesn't matter who you are. The heat, nutrition, all that stuff can just take its toll on you.
And I think there's a possibility for sure that a woman sneaks in the top 10.
That'd be awesome.
Based on talent alone, though, I mean, there's a lot of talented people running the race.
It's going to be an interesting. I think we've said it and we'll beat it, but it's just deep.
Yeah,
like men, women, I don't care. It's just deep for runners. Period.
For sure.
Like you get top 20, you got a feather in your cap. At that point,
I mean, it's starting to get into the UTMB territory, but with way less runners.
Yeah,
right. Imagine if they had the amount of runner spots as UTMB, then we'd be talking about something similar. I think.
Right.
Where if you've got it in the top 20, that's a highlight.
Right.
Yeah, there's definitely that top. What's your nutrition stuff like? I'm always interested in hearing about that. Like, are you a solid food guy? You a gel guy? You a food truck guy? I mean, what do you look for on the course? What's your plan?
Double cheeseburger guy.
Stick that in the back.
Just pulled up.
Yeah, another one just did. We got all
Waffle
Waffle Love and Cut Bop. Give a shout out. Let's get a sponsorship for the show.
Taco over there too.
No, but the road running background comes into play here.
Yeah.
Goos aren't a problem for me.
Right.
So I try to do goo and some kind of electrolyte drink as long as I can. And then, like, as I need it, food. Like last year at the Bear, soup and quesadillas and whatever they gave me, I would eat and just hammering it.
Hole, right?
Yeah, and my knock on wood, my stomach hasn't been an issue.
That's awesome.
So we'll find out tomorrow, because that'll be the first time that I really pushed it like this for 50 miles, and that's a different animal.
Just take a Bahama Mama and a chimichanga and just test it.
Dude,
just
not
test
do the
gut.
Bahama Mama. Don't do it.
I'll
Just
stop
test
at
it.
Maverick on the way down.
There you go.
We're gonna Bahama Mama for breakfast.
Just some like peppers,
Yeah,
Peppers.
jalapenos.
Yes.
some jalapenos.
Jalapenos.
Yep.
Throw that, wrap it in the foil, stick it in your hydration vest. When time comes, you really want to test your gut, see how iron it is, hit it.
I think I could do it. Probably like right before
hit up
Bozone
Windy.
Hill, right
Yeah.
before Bozone Hill,
So
just pound it.
So you can sit and
Yeah,
digest.
just so it sits in my gut, and then I throw it all up at the top.
Well, because you gotta, if you have just the jalapenos in there, it's going to be spicy. It's like fueling the fire, right? You're going to feel that burn, and you're going to think this is awesome,
For
and
sure.
then maybe not.
And then it'd be like a rocket booster to the end, right?
There you go.
For sure.
I mean, total boost.
I'm just saying, we've come up. We were talking about this on our run today. There's a lot of. I remember I was talking to. It might have been Aaron Hill, who climbs ridiculous amounts of vert, but we were talking about all the training theories and plans out there. I said they're everywhere.
Yeah.
She goes, there's some dumb ones. I'm like, yeah, but there's some really good ones.
Yeah.
Like taper up.
Yeah.
Taper up,
Yeah,
for sure.
exactly.
There's a lot of data. We're still waiting for data to come in on that.
Hey, well, Kipchoge doesn't believe in tapering, and he's the fastest marathoner in the world right now.
Who's that?
Eliud Kipchoge, the guy who tried to break 2 hours.
I should have him start pronouncing single track session
I know,
names.
right?
That rolled off your tongue.
Yeah,
I would have been like Chalupa,
just a big fat boy.
Chalupa.
No, but he like doesn't taper,
See?
he doesn't taper.
And he does good.
That guy that won the Boston Marathon, that Japanese guy, he doesn't taper.
What's his name?
I can't remember his name, to be honest.
I just want to put you on the spot.
No, but he's run like a million. That sounds super intelligent.
That's a lot.
He's run a lot of sub 220 marathons.
Yeah,
and he just runs all the time and races a ton. And
He's the Mike Wardian
like
of
Killian even made a post about it after like you don't need to taper or something.
See, I'm telling you what, we're just the first ones that really kind of came out and put our foot in the ground. Our stake in the ground to
There's
listen.
No need to taper.
What's
Who needs
this?
to taper?
It's ridiculous.
I'm tired of social media and Facebook people complaining about getting ornery. And I'm tapering, I'm ornery.
Taper tantrum.
Yeah. And I'm like,
well, then go
why
run.
do it? Yeah.
Then don't do it.
Yeah, taper
run.
up, and you'll be like heading into that race like peak. Peak performance.
Yeah, you want to be sharp.
Yep, got to be ready to roll. So it'll catch on more. I think,
For sure.
like I said, when the data comes in, we got some people working on it back at NASA. They should have some stuff pretty soon, some graphs and charts and
pie charts and bar graphs.
Bar graphs are legit.
I'm mostly interested in the pie though. The pie charts.
When I see a pie chart, I just get I'm like, that piece I shouldn't have made yellow because I want lemon meringue pie.
For sure.
Key lime is green. Look at all the people that ate the key lime pie. Well, we're pumped to have you on the show. We've been trying to do this for a little while. We're kind of getting our act together, but great story though. I love the stories when we talk to people, because there's so many out there. I mean, again, I can't wait to see what you look like at 300 pounds, because that's just daunting.
Yeah.
When you look at that.
A lot of weight on the little frame.
100 pounds. I mean, that's a lot of weight. That's for solid Thanksgiving turkeys. You know what I mean? And pick those up.
I know, lots of taters.
I do that once in a while. I'll go to the store. I'm like, man, if I could drop 25 pounds, I will go pick up 25 pounds of some type of meat. And go, holy crap, that's heavy.
Well, and think of we complain about when our pack's 5 pounds, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, I got a heavy pack.
That's why people ask me how
down.
much your shoes weigh. I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah, exactly.
3.75 ounces.
Yeah, it's like, how much does my gut weigh? That's what I'm worried about.
How much do your shoes weigh?
My shoes are comfy. My gut ain't so much.
For sure.
Well, we're excited to see how you do tomorrow.
Yeah.
We'll be following along for Squaw Peak, and then we'll obviously have the results. This will post after the race, this podcast.
Yeah.
But super excited to see you at Western. That's so cool. We were pumped for you, even though we didn't know you, because we know what a chore that is to get in. Plus, you're representing Ogden.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's going to be cool. What are you wearing for the race?
I know what I'm wearing tomorrow.
Okay.
I'm wearing my classic Ric Flair Woo shirt.
Oh, I've seen that.
Yeah.
You wore that in Grand Canyon.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's the best
right.
shirt
Yeah,
ever.
I've got my Solomon red shorts, trail runners shorts that I like, and my little Ric Flair yellow T-shirt.
Is that 100% or 50-50?
It's 50-50.
Okay, so it
yeah,
feels a little,
breathes a little bit. It actually
better.
fits pretty light.
Okay.
Yeah, so it feels good.
You cut holes in it or slice the bottoms?
I actually thought about crop topping it for Western,
You
but I don't
should.
know if people
Please
would
do.
appreciate it.
Or else you just need
Two guys right here.
Yeah,
Will
we'll support
forever.
it. We'll
Well, when I
sponsor
say
the shirt.
people, I don't think my wife would appreciate seeing me in a crop top.
Let's not bring her into the equation, all right?
Just bust it out.
No,
Don't even tell her.
I raced Bosho in an NWO shirt too, like an
my
NWO
gosh.
Wolfpack shirt. So
That's awesome.
I like the pro wrestling.
Nice.
It's about as legit as the NBA, you know. So
not fixed.
the officiating. If anybody watched the first finals game last night,
I watched
it was
it.
fixed.
Come on, J.R. Smith's a dink.
Yeah, that was his fault.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can't reverse a call.
I know.
But
but
that late in the
still.
game.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Let's reverse it.
Let's reverse it. That was the block on LeBron.
Can you imagine if they reviewed every foul?
Yeah, I just think LeBron will probably will him to a couple wins for sure.
I think they're done. I think that was emotionally.
Yeah, that was his.
No, they probably are. JR though, dude, it's like
dong.
7th grade
Yeah,
move.
exactly.
Like, what's the score? How much time's left?
That was
Which
like-
way's our
That
hoops?
was freaking Christian Leitner.
It
You gotta call
was.
timeout, right?
Chris Webber.
No, but
Oh yeah, Chris.
Webber.
Chris Webber without a timeout.
Yeah, that was hilarious watching
that was
that.
a good move.
Everybody's looking at him like, what? And then all the tweets from NBA players, like in
Yeah.
the league now, like, what in the hell?
Yeah, no. Anyways, sorry to get off.
That's all right.
off
That's what we
topic
do.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what we do. Well, yeah, that'll be cool to see some. Yeah, the other thing to do to the shirt is if you just take the scissors and cut it vertically and then
do
tie the ends.
Oh yeah,
what I
that
mean?
is a great idea.
Because when you run, that's going to look sweet.
Gotta do it. Come on now.
It actually fit pretty good with Squaw Peak, right?
That's right.
It would.
Yeah.
You got
Yeah.
time. You got enough time between now and tomorrow morning to do that.
I don't know if I can cut that shirt up though.
We'll get
Can
you
we
another
find-
one.
yeah, we'll
get
find
you
another
another
one.
one.
You got to order it off RicFlair.com.
That's
That's
all right.
okay. We'll give you the money.
We'll sponsor that shirt.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, I'm tempted. I might do it. You might see some pictures of a guy with like a shredded shirt.
Just the bottom. You just got to
Just
cut it
yeah.
evenly
Like
and then
that-
tie the knot at
Yep.
the very end.
Yep.
Yeah, either that or tube top, your choice.
Did the Ultimate Warrior do that, or Randy Savage? One of those guys
Lita
did
Ford.
that,
They
didn't
probably
they?
both did that.
They probably both did.
Yeah,
Lita
I think
Ford,
they were
yeah.
competing. Lita Ford.
Sorry about that reference, everybody.
Oh, my gosh.
just taking it way back. Went to a party last Saturday night. That's where we're going. man.
Heyo.
Well, that'll be cool. We're excited. We're super excited about Western, though. We can't wait to get you back on the show, probably sometime in July.
Yep.
We'll give you
Right
time
on.
to come back, but we don't want to wait too long. We got to be fresh.
Yeah. No,
Yes.
whenever you guys want to have me on, I'd love to be back on.
We still want to see the salt crystals on your face, fresh from that race.
We could do that. I mean, I sweat a lot, so
we all do.
I could just
We
not
all do.
shower for a couple weeks.
Wait till you
That'd
get to
go
our
over
age.
well.
The sweating is profuse.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
gets a lot worse.
It
I'm
does.
sweating
Yeah.
right now.
Me too. Now that it warmed up,
I'm
the
feeling
sun came
pretty good
out.
still.
Well, yeah, thanks again, and just thanks for everything. Thanks for your help with the race, and it's awesome to have runners like yourself in the community here. Obviously people know that listen to the show. We talk to a lot of people from this area for ease a little bit.
For sure.
But they're all great stories.
Mm-hmm.
First Western States, I mean, a lot of people are so captivated by that they're going to be listening along because someone's going to be listening to this show when they do Western next year.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to go back and listen to that episode. So there's a lot of stuff that can be said, but your story as well, and stress it enough. Just good people here in this area is something we're pretty lucky about.
Yeah.
So it's what keeps me here from moving to Bellingham.
It's
right
a
now.
great community.
It really is. It really is. So, again, thanks for coming on the show. We're going to break here. There's some food trucks calling our name, and the lines are going to get longer. So we'll break this out. This is the TrailManners Podcast, episode 115. And on this one, go ahead and shoot out a little good luck to Preston here on the Facebook page. Send him away with some good vibes. So this is Eric, Joel, and Preston, and we're out. Thank you for listening to the TrailManners Podcast. We'd like to thank Preston Wood for taking the time to join us today and wish him luck at the Western States 100 later this month. We also want to encourage everybody to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at TrailManners, or swing by the website at trailmanners.com. There's still a few pieces left in the shop. Or you can hit us up on the contact page. Let us know what you want to see, who you want to hear, or if you would like to be on the show. Until next time, this is Eric Manning with Joel Hatch reminding you, you don't get what you wish for, you get what you work for. Now go get it.